Hope it's working. Yes. Welcome, everybody. I'm just double checking if I'm online. Sorry about this. I'll probably cut this out in the Spotify podcast of the future. I got 2 beautiful views there. So thanks for everyone for that nice launch. So now I'm here with an open microphone in the lounge with the Bforartists live Q&A. It is now going live. Today is currently episode 102. It is now 2015 UTC. Well, 2019. I have started late today at UTC, and it is now Friday. Today's splash screen is made by me. I created this piece here with the Painterly project, and this is actually coming in from episode number 8. I'm now currently in the middle of the production of episode number 9, and I have been doing some animation, character animation, because I've been throwing in a bit more love into it. And I wanted to announce that actually this Painterly project has actually won a position in the Blender conference. So coming October 27 or 28, I can't remember, I will be presenting in Amsterdam this Painterly project with everybody paying attention on the Blender channel, hopefully. So it's a clapping sound. So I just want to say you guys got a heads up. I will hopefully share a little bit about the slides in the next couple of weeks before I go. But I have a lot to prepare, and it's actually very exciting. So this piece here has a lot of character animation. And before we begin, today is about you. So the microphone is open because back in the day, we used to have a lot of art reviews and portfolio reviews from the people here. And today is going to be about that. And we have an art piece submitted by I'm Kinda Drunk, an art piece submitted by I'm Slink. And if you are listening in right now, either on Twitch or YouTube, feel free to share a piece. And if not, I would like to take a look at anything that's in the work in progress, and we'll see how it's going, or in the finished art. And if you're willing to be part of it, then feel free. But till then, we'll go through the art, and then from there, we'll take a look at how I'm animating these particular characters. So, first things first, let's take a look at the first piece of today. And this piece is done by Slink. So Slink, are you in the microphone at the moment? Would you like to come on live?
Yes.
Excellent. So this piece is a conspiracy. It's a robot. He's pointing on the wall. It reminds me of that meme of somebody's kind of in a conspiracy and he's trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. Tell me about this piece. And where would you like to take it?
Well, like I made it for meme, yes. Like it's the robot from Titanfall 2 called BT7274, and just for fun, I wanted to make him the 2 Titanfall 3 theories. Yeah, and I'm not a great drawer. I can't draw so well, so I thought like drawing memes would maybe help me draw better in the future.
That's true. Yeah, get the practice in there. It's not a bad start. I like what you're doing. So, Slink, are you open for feedback?
Yes. And
Nice.
yes, I know the hand is backwards. I know. But I know.
That's okay. Well, I'm also learning how to draw these days. Ever since Stable Diffusion came out, I started to feel motivated to get into character design. And because I wanted to create characters and I wanted to learn how to use this tech well, I thought drawing would be the best way to direct it using control nets and other things like that. Ironic, I know. But some things that I learned along the way is line security and perspective and forms. So your piece is pretty good. You got like this cube and the body here, which is kind of nice. You have cylinders on the arms, you have the pieces on the body, pretty blocked out. And yeah, the hand's backwards, but that's okay. It's a robot. It can do that. And you've got the perspective of the wall here. So you've got all your basic foundationals quite good. But I do highly recommend when you start to draw something to, I guess you could say in Spanish, it's like the word is plantear. In English, I think the translation would mean propose. Propose what you plan to do in general for the shape language. And from there, it will be easier to help you draw in the details and the pieces.
Yeah.
But you're pretty good. I mean, you're copying the meme, so you understand the gesture, you understand the movement and what's going on. So I think you did a good job there. When we take a look at my own drawings, the drawings that I did over the past couple of days, which are these ones, you can see that I give myself just maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes or even 1 of 5 minutes to kind of plan out the general shape of these heads. So for example, this head here was done in 5 minutes. But notice that in the background here, there's a circle, there's a general jaw shape. Can't say it's great. Or when you look at this character, you can see the spine, the head, the spine shape, and then the legs. Or even with this head shape here. There's the basic structure of the head before you move on to the rest of the details. Your robot looks like it was built together out of pieces, which is pretty much correct. But if you have a clear proposal of what you're working on before you start drawing in the shapes, even something very quick and rough on a different layer, this will help you to communicate the shape and the general idea of what's happening nice and quickly. So like a line that shows the curve. So with your drawing, if we go back to it, you could increase the curve of his conspiracy with his shoulders up high and the arm, make it a bit more clear. But everything else is great. I think it's good. And I highly recommend you do more. If you would like to learn how to draw, this is a practice thing. And for me, that has always been the number one thing that I've been trying to target. So for example, this particular dog here, it's from reference, but
Boy.
yeah, a nice good boy. Took me 25, I gave myself half an hour to do it. But from reference, this is day 141, 140 something, which means half an hour a day, 1 hour a day, 140 days. I didn't know how to draw, and now I made this dog, which is okay. Still from reference, but at least it's something. So if you keep at it, keep working at it, you will improve. And I can't wait to see the next meme.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm kind of drunk. Are you on the microphone at the moment?
Yes, I am.
All right. We have another piece from you. I'm going to download this because I'd like to see it.
Wait. Before I do this, I'm just gonna tell you, lower the volume on the video.
On the
I
video?
didn't mix it. Yeah, because I didn't mix it properly, and you guys might get diff because it's so loud.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 70% of the volume is okay.
Okay, let me load it up first. There it is.
And as I can submit the original file if we have time, obviously.
Yeah, now I can hear it. Okay, I'm going to turn it up a little bit because I turned it down a lot. Go back from the beginning. But before we
I
begin,
can provide it.
to see where the star goes, how long did it take you to make this piece?
Well, including the render times, I believe I started not sure, maybe at 9 p.m. No, 8 p.m. until 4 a.m., including the render time. It was the same. Oh my god! Oh, sorry, I'm my head is spinning out a little bit. But it's for a challenge, and I started on the very last second. I even delayed a little bit, but it was okay since I was the only one that did. It was my first project in Cycles, and took me like for 8 hours, maybe.
Oh, nice.
From 4, yeah, including the render.
Nice.
And I sent you the file if you want to show as a hands-on critique.
Okay, I will open it up after watching the video. So, when you're ready,
Okay.
and 5, 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Oh, we don't hear the music.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to change my screen. 1 sec. Oh, it is on YouTube.
Okay.
That was nice. Let's go again. What's the little prince?
Yeah. I was running out of time, so I had to reuse my own assets. I didn't want to cheat, so I used one that I already had, one that I made it myself.
Good. It's nice to like rebuild your things from the ground up. I think it's really nice. There's the depth of field, the star bloom, it's a lot of fun. The movement of the camera is actually very nice and smooth. I think you did that quite nicely.
Yes, she's the little prince. Yeah. Le Petit Prince.
It looks like it's made of wood. Oh, nice. Well done. And I heard you got second place with this one, after all.
Yes. It was a competition on the and to be honest, I don't think I should have won because the guy I voted for, which was the first place, was tech way better than mine. But well, that's life. Sometimes good things happen, so I gotta enjoy it too.
Yeah, I guess it's were you submitted by a vote, or does somebody pick and choose your piece?
By votes.
All right. Democracy wins, I guess, here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that when I was working with the Blender Royale, sometimes the piece that had a good story or or even a character, good, or an animation, those ones did quite well with the votes.
Oh, that was the point actually, because since I didn't have my modeling skills are not that great, my material skills are not that great either, but I can do some good camera movement and I know how to somewhat properly. So I kind of went for that. Like since everybody did amazing models with incredible textures, let's do something that nobody else did, like an animation and a little bit of storytelling. The theme was a floating island or island in the sky or something. I thought, well, an asteroid is also an island in the sky.
Oh, the mesh density of your subdivision is quite high. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's okay. It looks really nice in the viewport.
It's my first experience with Eevee, by the way.
Eevee, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eevee's quite good when it comes to working with a different type of efficiency, I suppose.
And for an extra, the two materials that I didn't create, Bforartists default library, the water and the lava.
The water and the lava, right?
Yeah,
I do plan to update this library eventually. It is quite old, so I need to make some new stuff.
But it still does the job.
It does the
still
job.
has the job.
That's right.
Yeah.
The new library is making progress. I'm making some shader node groups that has been adapted from and given by Iyad, the FX nodes, which is going to be nice. So that's coming soon. That will make life easier too in the future. And also in the future as well, if you guys were paying attention, Blender has drop-down menus as well. Like you can collapse menus on these shader node groups now in the future. So that's kind of cool.
That's useful.
Yes. So, I'm kind of joking. Are you open to critique? Or would you like to hear just my opinion, my praise?
No, let's go for critique.
All right. First things first that I noticed is the subsurface scattering of the asteroid. If this is to be plastic, the default subsurface scattering of the principle of BSDF is the color of skin, the blood type and the skin type. So when you're working with subsurface scattering, if you're going to use it, make sure that your subsurface radius is either a flat color or a solid color or a different type of color other than blood. In this case, now instead of like what it was before, Now it looks a lot more like it's actually some rubber or some plastic. There you go. So now it's a bit more plasticky. You can see the texture a bit better. The color is not so crazy. Or you could have, like, if you want, you can pull out an RGB color here, and you can pick and choose. So, for example, here's a similar red to what we had before, and we'll just make the subsurface heavier. But you can see it's the color that's been absorbed. So you can see, like, around here, I think. You start to see how it changes.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you got the color, right? Your color is white, but the radius is what is the wavelength that's been absorbed around the thing. So if you change it to just white, or keep it white, or darker, you can see, like, it's how far the light penetrates into the mesh with a certain wavelength. If you change it to reddish, you can see that it changes, like, that kind of that level of fuzziness that's going on into kind of a reddish color, and that's kind of the default. Here's a blue one, so you can see the blues going, absorbing the bluish colors, and going to greens, absorbing the green. Eevee's not very good with subsurface radius, so I usually keep it all white, especially when it comes to plastic. Or, yeah, just keep it to 1. So I wonder if it's the vector that will work better. There we go. So here's the other color. Oh, there it is. Sorry, the RGB won't work. It doesn't convert. You have to... Let me just be a bit more precise. Sorry. So you want to separate a color, combine X, Y, Z, green to Y, blue to Z, red to X, and before it used to work, but not now. So now, is it still doing it? No, it's not. It's strange. Okay, it must be an issue that I have here. You can see the different colors that you can change of what the subsurface color changes and does. The radius. So you can see with the X and Y, it goes into yellow, green, red, and blue. You can see the colors change there. So that's just a little thing you got to keep in mind. If you want something that's usually plastic, I usually keep it to white. And then you can have, that's the one thing. That's nice. Well done. And also a quick trick if you like wood here on this material. A quick little, here you got the normals into the bump map. Got the strength. RGB to black and white. Into the mix shader node. You have mixed one here.
No, this was just for creating a clay render quickly.
Oh, nice. Yeah, looks great. Pretty good. Well done. Nice. Thanks for sharing this piece.
Sorry?
Thanks for sharing the piece.
Oh, to me, the coolest thing I learned while doing this was because I had to map it to an empty plane and then map that only plane to the camera. So whenever I would change the mapping of the stars, it would change automatically. So you can see there's a floating, there's that floating plane. And I mapped all of I parented, I guess, all of the stars. And then I tracked the location of the camera too. It's a pretty neat trick. Oh yeah, you can see there on the camera. There's the target. If you look, you're gonna see the target is the camera, and for the stars, the target is the plane.
Trying to find the camera. Here it is. Let's go to the end of the animation.
I believe it's camera 2.
Oops. Oh, the performance is a little low. What's that?
Oh, maybe because of my stupid mesh density.
So that's how you made the stars focus onto the actual camera. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I can
And I
see them
placed
rotating.
them, while animating. So I first made the camera animation, then I went filling the spots. Right when I too little stars or too many stars, place them by hand while on the camera view.
Nice. I like your depth of field that you used, especially like at the beginning.
Oh, thank you.
So what type of camera lens did you use with the depth of field?
I believe 35, but I've got a technique for that. I map the depth of field to an empty object, which I call DOF, which is the second one below the camera on the outliner.
Like
There.
this? Gotcha.
If you press Control and move it around, you actually press G and then.
Oops, I accidentally
So,
moved the camera. So if I move it around, there you go.
yeah. Because that one is very far away. But if you use snapping and snap, if you snap surface, this is a really, really fast. It works like a camera, like
Yeah.
a phone, where you literally tap what you want and the focus is there.
Nice.
And the
Here.
plus of doing instead of the compositor is that you can animate it, so your focus can change. It's different from oh, this is cool.
Yeah, jittering is, well, depends on the use case. But if you're in your camera, is camera 2 that had the blade?
Yeah. The camera 2 is the one that's being rendered.
Okay. You can change the bokeh to many different types of things if you want.
Yeah.
You can change the ratio as well. Like if you're using an anamorphic lens, then you'll change the ratio. Like 0.5 or 2. And if you you can change the rotation, you can have as many blades as you want. Right now you have circle. And when it's like 0 blades, it becomes a circle, like a dot. But if you have, sometimes the lens has multiple blades on the camera, and that's when you start to change how the lens looks. It looks really nice. Well done. Thanks for sharing that.
No, thank you.
So Shiz has some nice comments about it. He says, I think it's cool, but the shading is a little bit off. All these things are so cool. Did you hear the Little Prince? And you did hear the Little Prince, that's right. He loves the movie. Oh my god. Nice one, Shiz.
I didn't get to see the movie yet. I only read the book when I was young, but I heard it's really good. You gotta give it a try.
Yes, I still need to watch the movie as well. Though recently I just cancelled my Netflix account, so I'm not sure where I will be ready to watch it. That's nice. And also, there was another thing I wanted to showcase today was Arendelle has created a new game. And this actually came out this week. Now I think, Plebes, you worked on the project, didn't you? Would you like to come on the microphone and let me know about the game? Or should I showcase it?
Yeah. We can talk about it.
Alright.
I guess.
So the game is called Poly Snatchers. It was created by Quackles, Omar Plebes, which is here, Rimmeril, Brian Barella, good friend, Dark Fall, Killing Smalls, who connects here often, Arendelle, who I've interviewed here before, Slink, who was just here now, JC, who I've interviewed here before, which I think did the music, and Toxic Tuber. I have shown his art here before as well. He often does a lot of kaleidoscopes. So it's really nice to see this group of people working together. And it's got 5 stars, a cinematic masterpiece by the New York Times, probably. So I'm going to quickly download it. It is available for free on itch, on arendelle.itch.io/poly-snatchers. And let's just give it a quick download and give it a run. 3 seconds. And it's done. And let's extract.
Is it a standalone game? As in, can I play portable, or do I have to install?
It is portable, yes.
It's portable.
So
Oh,
you
nice.
would where did I download? There you go. So I extracted to Noir and I have the exe. There's also a version available for Linux, but not for Mac at the moment. So let's run and go. Let's see how it goes. Made in Unity. So as this loads, plebes, how was your experience working with Unity?
Yeah, I mean, I did some environment and art, environment design and level design for it. So didn't really get like into the nitty gritty game dev part of it, but for what I used it, I found it relatively nice actually.
Good.
I don't want to get into the Unity versus Unreal cataclysm
Yeah,
again.
I don't want to touch that topic either, but Unity, yeah, I've used it a couple of times, but I'm glad you guys could work it. This is the second game you've done with Unity, correct? Or that the Erindale has done in Unity.
I think it's like, I don't know if the first one, I think the first one was with Unreal, but I think it's the third one now,
Third one.
which, yeah, it's the fourth of the game jam, so, yeah.
Oh, nice. Hello, Osama. How you doing?
I
Okay.
definitely like that you could control Z and everything didn't crash. No, I had some, like I did use the burn control thing for it, was just what I think it was called plastic SCM, and now it's Unity version control. Still bought it or something, but and that was an experience because I like before I mostly worked on my own, and then you had this project and like check into the main branch and stuff like that, and yeah, that was quite something new.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to load the game a little bit. And first screen, I'm inside of a lounge. And the pixel art looks really good. There's a really cool pixel filter going on. I
And
have...
also in the settings you can like tune it if you want more pixelation, all this.
Oh, where? Where's the
When
menu?
you press escape.
Escape. Settings. There we go. Pixel filter. More or less? Too much.
Yeah, but like the default is pretty. I like the default the best. There's an option for it.
Quite like this one. Got a fog distancy, drug, and volume. Great. Escape again. Resume. Nice. I feel like I'm back in the day playing my PS1. Maybe a bit too much. I don't remember the default. Okay, so
Yeah,
what is the aim of the game? What am I supposed to be doing?
it's a noir puzzle murder mystery game, so it's yeah. We're supposed to see they should yeah there on the top left are the tasks you have to do.
Make a morning coffee.
Yeah,
Left.
which is and
Shift.
you should look around. The only direction
E is to use something and space is to jump. Gotcha.
yeah,
And
and with
help is
F1 you
F1.
can hide it.
Wow. So which part of this project did you did the level design you mentioned, but you also did a lot of
For
modeling.
example, if you make the coffee, like if you go to the coffee mug which behind you and
Here
press
it is, found it. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I made some coffee.
I made the VFX for it. I mean, it's pretty rudimentary, but
Yeah, smoke made out of pixels. I love it.
yeah. So it's like what do we call that?
I like this
Like
stack of papers.
becomes more. That the whole office was created by Raramel and really looks amazing. And then I did a ton of plans like usually. So you write the agenda and then go to water the plant. I made that plant, for example. the corner.
Whoa! Instant magic. I love it. Let's check the mail. Now there is some new mail.
So
To
yeah,
detective. Our shining movie star Suzanne has been kidnapped. The femme fatale. Our business will be lost without her. We need your help. We have a note from the kidnapper. We've got Suzanne. She will be decimated unless you provide us with 1 million verts. Send verts to Triangle Avenue 2, not Polygrove 6. That is my brother's place. We need your help. Your will be rewarded. Your Mixer Foundation. An alternative to the Blender Foundation. That's so good. Alright. So that means I need to grab this gun that I saw there, right?
yeah.
Great. Okay, I will let you guys continue playing the game as we continue with the rest. This is really nice, well done.
Yeah, so I did some more VFX for it, and then when you look on the screenshots, there is a greenhouse somewhere. And,
Yep. There's a cathedral, a scary room from the roof, streets,
I saw
containers. Here's the greenhouse.
the level design there, and in the greenhouse actually I made most of the models. Like I made the trees in Speed Tree, and the plants actually still made in Blender, the smaller ones. And I did capture the hedge texture with sampler, and also the grass texture capture with sampler. I made a greenhouse, was textured procedurally, and then I baked it in Blender, and yeah, I made the decals. I made a ton of it. This was actually like a very holistic project. It was sort of fun. So
Yeah,
do
let's
something from start to finish.
It's a game worth exploring. I like these exploring mystery games. That's a lot of fun. And you did a great work. Seems like you pulled your weight throughout the entire project. Well done. So I'm going to share the link with you so you guys can download it for later. In the questions of submission. No, in the chat there. So Uncanny mentions game development is the equivalent of a neurologist in 3D art and updates in real time the pixels. Chiz is coming back later, so I'm coming. So you got to free Suzanne, otherwise we're going to need to use the Stanford Bunny. Oh man, that's good. So with that, I'm going to share the link here in the chat if you're there. And let's see if my YouTube is live, which it is. And I'll share it there as well. Oh, cool. Thanks for sharing this. And I'll be playing this later. So now, with the show going on, we've had a look at the art from Slink, with a little bit of tips on drawing and drawing practices that we've talked before a while ago. We had a look at art from I'm Kinda Drunk with the Little Prince. We've had a look at art from Plebes here at the Game Jam in Arendale's Discord server. And we'll see how things go. But today, we're also going to be taking a look at the next half an hour or so about using reference to animate. So I've got an open question for you. Have you animated characters before? And if so, how did you feel? Most people that I know haven't touched a lot of animation. Mine is character animation. So I wanted to kind of demystify the process. Sometimes when we go onto YouTube and we see these great, amazing animators, we enjoy their work, but sometimes they share a picture of them acting. So there might be a person who's acting with a camera and they cut them out in a picture and they take a look. So why do they do this and what are they doing? Why aren't people using motion capture when it's such a common concept? We've got systems that captures motion. So why do animators film themselves? Well, the obvious answer to that one is basically it's much quicker to do the job. It's much easier to do character animation when you have done it yourself and you use it to help you time yourself. So I'm going to load a scene. And I would like to show you, first things first, the reference video. So let's open up the scene, underneath layout, the latest version. And I'll give you a sneak peek of the next episode. Okay, here it is. So here in the animatic, if we go inside the video editing area, this particular shot, okay, it's going to run very slowly because these are scenes referenced inside of this, the scene editor. So the first shot is here, where we can see a drone flying over a bridge. We can see this wall in the background with the high district, the downtown district, and then we have the slum area. And the camera changes and we see kind of like a falabella, where one area is walled off with poverty and the other area is walled off by into wealth. And then we see a kid playing on the bridge. If you're paying attention on my Twitter, this particular shot, let me just quickly load it up for you, is a boy kicking a ball. And this particular ball is going to fly from his foot. He kicks it, and the animation wasn't so good. And then the ball hits a bear on top of, or hits a bottle on top of the actual robot. So let's load up the shot. This is shot 2A. So as you can see, I hope my girlfriend doesn't get mad, but I have a cardboard box on the ground and I filmed her kicking the box. nice and simple, right? If I press play, we can see her walk back 2 steps, runs forward and kicks the box. Timed to the video. If I hide this, if I look at the video, this is my animatic. We'll take a closer look at the animatic and I'll read it nice and clearly. A kid might be playing in the crammed streets of a building built on buildings. And he's kicking a robot head or kicking a ball. So I found a picture on the internet, and with that I got a general idea of what that particular shot would be based on the music. So we've got a reference video, and if I go inside my scene, let's go back into 2A. I've got my layout, which is now compiling the shaders. 1 second. Let's take a close look. I got my boy. Here's my boy with a rough rig. I've got a rough layout in the clay render, as you can see. There's a lot going on. And I've got mostly everything behind the camera. And I need to, basically for animation, it's usually, I do my layout first with my cameras. And then I have a general idea of what that shot will be, which is kind of this camera view. And then I do a rough idea of like a proxy. So I used like a basic character collection instance and roughly did the animation in a rough idea of what the ball is supposed to do. And the ball is actually supposed to be a lot smaller. There you go. Still compiling shaders. So I'm going to hide the background so that we get a better performance. I'm going to switch to workbench view. And I'm gonna, here's the background, global. I don't need that view. I don't need all of the stuff in the background. All I need is the boy, the ball, the robot, and the general set of where he's gonna be. So now if I press play, I'm getting playback in real time. So when it comes to animation, this is often the case with Blender, is that you need to organize your scene and your layout to make sure that your playback is nice and quick. So if you hide the background, I'm getting my 15 frames per second, enough to get a rough idea of the animation without needing to render everything. And I can go into my attribute view to kind of get a general idea of the attributes of the colors, and he's good to go. So, how do I not use mocap, and how do I save time animating? If I go and let's make a new scene, a new empty scene. And I load a character. Let's go into library and I check out my character library. If I check out this character, let's link him in, not as a collection. There he is. And let's just override him to make sure that I can animate him. There he is. Okay, so if I am in my animation mode and I decide to want to make him walk or do something like wave at the camera, I could do an animation by hand. Since he is a robot, he has no motion capture available to him because I can't motion capture a robot. So motion capture doesn't work for everything. It's hard to be, for example, a dragon. It's hard to be a fish. It's hard to be a cartoon cat dog. It's hard to be a ball. You know, it's hard to be a well-trained dog that will come whenever you need it and then attack a cat. You're not going to just make a dog attack a cat. That's kind of cruel. So, and actors for mocap, as Kind of Drunk says, is quite expensive. So sometimes you need to brute force an animation. But then you start to animate and you think, I don't know how to animate. So you go, okay, I want to record the whole character. And then I move forward a couple of frames. And then I do this. And I move the arm and I lift the leg up and like this. And I don't know what I'm doing. And I hit record again. And maybe I'll move back like this to move the foot up and to do kind of this, whoops, why not tweak? Move the foot up like this, move the arm back, and I do this crazy animation, but when I press play, it looks like it's a robot, which it is a robot, but it's not good animation, and it's not going to be the one that I want to do. And what about acting? How do I make this robot act and like look around and feel like he's alive? So this is where things become a little bit more difficult. And if you're trying to animate without reference, it becomes extremely difficult and you would have to be a professional with a lot of experience to know how to do this very well. Understand timing and understand work. So what do? Well, we do a rough recording. If we go back to, let's do a rough recording right now. And if you're in the audience, what would you like the robot to do? Do we make it come alive, talk?
Clap hands. Clap hands.
Clap hands.
Clap hands, do a backflip.
Clap the hands and do a backflip. Good work. All right, I'm going to load a camera app. Hopefully it's going to work without my streaming. Give me a second. Will it work without streaming?
Please, Reese, don't break your neck.
I can't do a backflip. But I could find that. No, I can't use my camera while I'm streaming, unfortunately. But I can do a screen recording of myself on the camera. So give me a moment. And oh, what happened to my camera? Okay, here it is. I can see myself in the corner there, and I'll just make myself bigger. Okay, good. So let me just do a quick recording of myself. And shit, there we go. And so I'm going to do a quick wave, right? So I'm like, huh, wave, you good? And that's all we need. So I'll hit stop. I'm going to load the video. Here's a video. You can see it on the screen here. And that's nice and simple. Okay, so if we think about this particular shot, first things you need to do is do an analysis of the shot. So when you look at the analysis of the shot, if we look at each frame, you can go through and see that, okay, so here's my first pose. I'm looking at the camera. And then I go to the next pose between animation and I'm like this, all right? So this is one key pose, the next key pose, and then I change, and this is another key pose where the hand is moving, and then I change to another key pose here. So I have 4 key poses. They're like key poses, and then I have motion between the key poses. When you're acting, when you're doing your movement, this is very typical of animation where you'd have a particular pose, and then you're doing something within the pose. So that's 4 seconds. That's another pose here. right? So we got that. It's very nice and clear. So if we here in this scene here, and we can, what we can do is we can load up a new visual sequencer editor, and we can add that particular video into the actual timeline. So let me just do that now. And drag and drop, 1 second. And let's also make my camera smaller on the stream. Wrong thing. Back to being nice and small. There we go. I'm going to load the video inside of the video sequencer editor. I'm going to time it here more or less, and I can turn it on to sequencer and preview, and then I have a timeline so I can actually play the video as we're looking onto the thing. So I'm going to delete these keyframes, and I'm going to set up a camera. So let's load a camera into the scene, add a camera, go into the camera, look at the robot. Where is the robot? There he is. Let me just grab his rig, zoom in, and we'll just get the rough shape of the camera and kind of looking at him in a similar of what I recorded or however I want it to be. And now let's go a closer look into the animation, into the camera view. Here it is. Here's the robot. Remember, I can go into attribute view. When you're animating, it's always good to animate on Workbench because it is the best performance when it comes to playback. When you're using Eevee rendering and other things like that, it's going to take a lot of processing power to get a good playback. But for animation, playback speed is what you need. So here's my robot, and I can select all the controls, delete the animation, and let's go into the keyframes. So I'm just going to go back into the view here and mark where those keyframes are. Just a rough idea. So the first keyframe is here. This is my other keyframe here. I'm pressing M to hit mark. I move wave here. So that's another keyframe here. And then I have this keyframe here, and then I go down and he looks to the left, and then he sighs and goes to the right. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 key poses, and then that will be the end of my animation. Mark the end. Okay, so now that I have those key poses and the key timing, I can start to actually make him look at the camera. So this particular view, he's just looking at the camera like this. Make this a bit bigger. And just put his shoulder up, and his body's kind of to the left a little bit. His other arm is down below. And he's just standing there, you know, with his hands down below like this. Hit record. Whole character. What I'm going to do is, with these keyframes selected, I'm going to change it to constant because that's all I need. Go into the next one. And right now, he moves his whole body to the left, kind of like, like this. Then he brings his head around, kind of brings it up. Maybe I'll pull his body back down a bit because he's kind of relaxed. His left arm goes up, not through himself. So I've got to make sure his, there it is. His elbow is out like this. And you can see that you're not focusing on the sequence of the animation. You're only focusing on the actual pose. That's all you need to do, is like make sure the hand is the correct way around. Just like your drawing. The robots have that particular issue, if Slink. So we got the hand up there, it's kind of touching his chin. His other arm goes around. Maybe his elbow comes out a little bit. Maybe his shoulder comes in a little bit. And he's kind of looking up, you know, looking at himself, you know, holding his chin. He's like, It's called it's kind of drunk mentions. It's not a feature. No, it's not an issue. It is a feature. That is right. So now we got the next keyframe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record everybody and make sure these keyframes are constant. Or select everything.
I got one question.
Yes.
I got one question to raise. Why don't you use the shortcut I animation? For instance, whenever I animate, I just press I and C to get a keyframe on everything, like location, rotation, scale. Does it make any difference?
Not really, but I mean, this menu is pretty big. Sometimes, like for example, I select all and then I can just move over here, go into the next keyframe, which is this one. And what I would do is I would actually, well, this only is in Bforartists, but for example, now he moves his body around, he's looking at the camera, and he's like got his head to the side, and his arm goes up, or his shoulder goes up, and his hand goes up, and then he's waving like this, and his other arm goes down like this, pulls his shoulder out. I can select everything, and then, yeah, I press I, whole character. Or you can make it auto keyframe onto a particular set. So for example, here I can have the whole character, or set to just location, rotation, and scale, as you mentioned earlier. Like, there's no correct way, really. But I do like to have my preferences always configured to have auto keyframe to only insert available. This means when I turn it on inside the animation tab, it would only insert what I have already keyframed, but no new keyframes would be animated if I don't tell it to be. So for example, these keyframes down at the feet, if I don't need them, I can just delete them and it would never rewrite there automatically. So now I've got his head there. He's kind of looking all happy, and maybe I need to exaggerate the pose a little bit. There you go. Maybe up it a bit. And his hand, bring it out. I want his hands to be, well, it won't be bigger. This is not a very good rig. I need to bring his elbow out. There we go. And I'll bring his shoulder up, so you can read a bit better. There you go. Hi. So now we got the next pose, more or less. Bring his head around a little bit. And since I'm using the auto key, it's just storing it automatically for me. So there we go from there, and we go into the next pose. And I guess we can work with those 3 poses for now. So I'll end the animation here. So if we go to the beginning, we can see the timing of the shot here. But now we need to think about animation when it comes to these characters. When you think of timing, what are the principles of animation? Well, first thing is key poses, but the next thing is you need anticipation. Anticipation, and then you need follow through. So in this case, for example, anticipation from this pose to this one, we need anticipation. So we move forward, he lifts his hand, prepares his hand, and kind of turns a little bit, and then pulls his head up. It reaches an extreme point, and then it pulls down, and you can see that it's going through. Yeah, there's the white noise is the rain. I can't do anything about it. Have a good night, Slink. The clapping robot. Or the waving robot. I was supposed to do clapping. I completely forgot. Yeah, sorry about the rain. So it's very sleepy. So with that, let's go back. So we got the animation, it pulls through, follow through, and then we change. So that's what we need to animate now. So if you just think about those pieces, so we've got the piece here, kind of rotates his body, lifts his hand up, straightens his head a little bit, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to color these keyframes red to make them extremes, and then from there key through, put it onto the extreme here, rotate the head, and he's like and his hand goes up, his elbow goes out, he's like his other arm, his shoulder goes up, nice and simple rig, and then it comes down, and his arms are rest, and then his shoulder comes down, and his other shoulder comes down a little bit. And then from there, we'll look at the keyframes. It's in constant. we go from that shot. Extreme. Extreme. Sorry about the rain. It's going to make things very sleepy. But, so, in general though, hopefully the rain is not too loud over my voice. But it is actually storming out there right now. But we're coming to an end. But in general, a professional animator has good references. A person who's animating Spider-Verse or animating the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they use these videos a lot and they use it very well. Puss in Boots, all of the animators, they get their camera out, they have a dedicated studio, and they work on recording themselves to do the animation. So for the time it took for me to do the first poses in the past half an hour, I can start to convert the keyframes into Bezier, and I can start focusing on the actual movement between the things, cleaning up the arcs. So the hand goes up like this. This would be a breakdown. I can start cleaning up my animation, and then we can see that this movement is a little bit timing's a bit off.
Those marks. Sorry, go ahead.
Say that again.
The marks, the colored marks. Did you create?
Yeah, the colored marks are if you're inside a Blender, it's in the key menu, and then you go into the option that says set keyframe type, and then you can choose a color for those keyframes. So you could have a separate keyframe type between the different things. So you're animating, and you can focus on the time between the reference animation, where his hand goes down, and then you can focus on the whips, everything, all of the character. So it's not very good at the moment. Animation takes a lot of effort. There we go. His arm needs to go. His head. There we go. That was a bit better. So with the colors, it's a good way to help you be organized and to know what each keyframe is. For this particular one. That would be an extreme. So I had to switch. Let's just go to between two poses. Anticipation and follow through. Still not happy with it. There we go. Anticipation, follow through, and hold. There we go. So these are just 3 types of keyframes that you can work with. The extreme poses, the keyframes that does the follow through and the anticipation, and then you work on secondary motion, you work on your holding keyframes. For example, his hand here needs to be, it's kind of vibrating too much. So up here it goes up too high. And you can start to clean things up and you start to block out, and then you go on to actual curves. With this particular project that I worked out with the boy, and the animation here that I'd done with the boy earlier, that particular animation required me to only stick with blocking. But if I take a closer look at that scene, sorry about the rain, let's take a look at this animation. Whoops, that's the wrong one. There he is. So if we take a closer look at his animation, you can see that I have a number of extremes and I have the blue breakdowns, and I've recorded everything based on the animation that was inside of the video. So let's unhide this again, take a closer look. You can see here the keyframe here, the first key pose, the next key pose, the next key pose, the next key pose. Notice that each foot is a key pose, and then I go from there, I hold it, so these would be holding keyframes. I can use a moving hold, and then from there, this is anticipation, key pose, and right now you can see that with more keyframes, because the movement is very fast, there's a lot of key poses between the movement, but they're all compressed together. It helps you to do the timing when you're using a reference. That's what I wanted to share with you, because I did this particular animation here in more or less an hour and a half, and it's good enough to go, good enough for the final render. And I'm very happy with it. Boom. Because I recorded it. If not, I would have spent all day trying to make a good kick. So don't be afraid to get on the camera and give it a go. So thank you everyone for connecting. Thanks Slink, who had to go, for your art. Thanks Please for sharing the game, and for everyone. And also thanks to Hannah Drone for your art piece today. And also thanks for your patience with the rain and for this particular episode. I wanted to go back to grassroots. And next week, next 2 weeks, we'll see how it goes. So I'll talk to you later. See you guys in 2 weeks.